Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen regular meeting for November 5th, 2025. We call the meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. Before we get going, I just want to, before we do the pledge, just want to congratulate everyone in town. All those, especially candidates that were running for different offices. Congratulate those that succeeded in their bids for other offices. And look forward to a wonderful exchange of ideas and thoughts in the continuation of the different boards with different people on it, this one in particular. And but I just want to, again, just tell everyone how much I appreciate the town's support and work with myself and our board with Landon and Glenn. That has been great to do. We're really, I think, can be proud of a lot of stuff we have done and look forward to a lot of more things to do. But so I just wanted to kick off saying that. So, all right, so we start with the pledge. We'll work. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, visible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay.
We can all three have our things on, right?
Supposed to be.
Our microphones.
Turn mine off just because it's between the two. I believe, can everybody hear me okay? Anybody out there not being able to hear me in Zoom land? Okay, we do have a larger microphone now, ceiling microphone that picks up just about everything. Again, to those in the audience, let's just say back there, it's a pretty sensitive mic. So I'll continue. There's always a new, hitch as we get the mics going, but hopefully I'm loud enough to go where we need to. So, all right. Number 3 is approval and amendment to the agenda. Is there any approvals or amendments or going to approval?
I think it's good. You explain, or we do have a commission. Okay.
Yep. Okay. All right. Make a motion to approve the agenda. Yes.
So moved.
Second. Thank you, Glenn. All in favor?
Aye.
Very great. Approval of minutes, September 18th, September 18th, 2025, September 25th, 2025, and October 7th, 2025. Approval of minutes. Any rejections or approval? See, I didn't need it. Right.
I'll make a motion that we approve all three. As presented.
Great. Second. Great. All in favor then?
Aye.
Great. Correspondence. I didn't have anything specific except chore services, a annual note to all of us. It's quite lengthy, but it I'll
Is that in the folder? I didn't see
I
it.
don't know if you can make it.
It was removed because it was their annual report, so we forwarded it on to Board of Finance.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Yes, well, anyway, just it did. I mean, I put it in mine a week ago or so, but it just basically says, I'll just paraphrase. I've been working with chore services for years, and I am still very pleased. My worker is wonderful. She's a terrific addition to your staff. I'd be lost without her, and that's from a Kent resident. So
right up at the top.
right at the top. So yeah, so we'll Board of Finance will be receiving this as their annual report. Next is public comment on the agenda items. Any public care to comment on the agenda as approved at tonight's meeting? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the next. We have no tax refunds, although it is on the agenda. And new business, we can move right to Houstonic River Commission update. We've asked Jesse Klingenvale from the Houstonic River Commission to come and discuss some of the options, as he said, for things that are going on with the Houstonic River. Kind of dovetails into what we experienced this past fall with the North Platte Road area. So Jesse, I'd like to invite you up to the table if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So You have questions on? Great, thank you. So I wanted to thank you for letting us come. And kind of wanted to just share some of the things that we've been talking about. As we all know, there are definitely a few hotspots where the use of the river has become kind of problematic and trying to figure out ways to address that. One of the big parts of that that's been successful at a lot of locations is the Housatonic Valley Association's RIO program, where they have a group of volunteers that come and they give out bags, they talk to people, give people information, encourage everybody to leave, take what you bring with you, kind of just bring awareness, thinking about whatever you might be used to at home or wherever. This is what needs to happen here, and it still doesn't really, in some locations, doesn't really seem to be quite getting it done. And so we've been brainstorming a lot of things, and I know I've talked with all three of you about some different things. Our most recent meeting, found some interesting things where, things like if you want to restrict parking at a certain location, like has been done, a resident state trooper can enforce local parking regs, but a state non-resident trooper cannot. The Connecticut NCON officer can enforce fishing and gaming rules, but not much else. And so how do we kind of focus energies and things to try to get things under control? So one of the things that we do have with the rivers recognized as a National Park Service Wild and Scenic River, we have some funds, and we have a community grant program where we are open to communities, groups to apply for a grant to do something that they want to do that would help, whether it's education, whether it is, active management of a spot. Those are things that we can, upwards and maybe even over $10,000 that if we have available to us kind of in things that make sense to do. When we were brainstorming, is say a place like North Kent Road, would a gate be something that would be useful? I think even particularly, one thing that I think when we talked about roughly, this is not anything we're committed to, but something that kind of seemed to make the most sense was, maybe you have unlike River Road where the gate is just boom, it's down. And, that has certainly reduced traffic. I think the AT people are much happier with how that side of the river has been manifesting itself, and having that from, Labor Day to Memorial Day. It seems to have been, it's unfortunate to lose that spot, but it does make that spot very much, and it keeps that resource very much available because a lot of other places to access it. I think North Kent's Road is a little more challenging because you can't really get down to that spot. One thing we kind of say, what does the town make the most sense? Because as Marty, the town controls the road, but not much else. Just Mike Benjamin, who's the other Housatonic River Commissioner for town, what if we put a gate, and maybe you had a kid or a college kid or something, you paid to monitor that, and that was open, and when they maybe had X number of parking spots, those are filled, that kid closed that gate. And then would have to stay there and be accessed. They'd have to, not somebody you expect to be enforcing anything, but have, a trooper on speed dial. And just so many other things that seem pretty, because I don't think, have you heard anything from the DEP? I have not heard, yeah, exactly. I didn't say that we did. I haven't heard back from Commissioner Dykes on the letter. I have heard from Senator Harding, who's, provide support for it and said, let's go next. I have another letter in the hopper back to Commissioner Dykes. Maybe after the election, it would be different. I don't understand, but to readdress it again, I know I've talked to Mary Horn, and others, as well as what it is we have to do, because it's the partnership, as you said. We can only do certain things. We only need Deep and others to figure out what they want to do and how they want to address, the activity on that river back, at least, from North Kent side. So it's not just falling on us to try to figure out what to do and just shut it down, which again, to your point, is not what we really want to do. I mean, the land trust has a great place down there in the avian area, and HVA has some access down there, some other things they've been doing in that, with that area. So shutting that down for everyone, including those that use the fishing areas, the hunting areas and so on, it's just it's a real shame that that's what we end up having to do. But I think over this year, with some of the, over this winter, with some of the other discussions we have to continue on with that, I think we're gonna get forward, at least we'll get people together. I just haven't heard the when from the deep, yeah. Yeah, so.
Jesse, have you had any luck having like a meeting, conversations with deep representatives?
So there's a representative from Deep on our commission. And so he's great. He's really good. He's kind of loops us in with what, in a lot of the stuff that I've mentioned, like an NCON officer can't do this, but can't do this. But as far as, he also has been trying to reach out to the higher ups to say like, what about this property? And also it's not, I don't know. They're sometimes a tough organization to work with because they're pretty slow to things and figure out what needs to be done. So
One of the things I think that I'm hopeful anyway, that what we did in Lake Warramug and how we worked with some deep on that and some, at least some noise that we made in this region about that. Well, the issue with the lake, it comes to the river too. We have the same, I mean, a similar, not the same exact, but how do we regulate? How do we, keep it open? How do we make it available to everyone? How do we try to deal with somebody's desire to do one thing and someone else is doing something else without canceling anybody out? That's the part that I'm trying to get with deep and say, let's have a dialogue, talk just about what they think they could do or not, or how do we handle that? But, or do they, and also with what happened at Candlewood Lake, where they actually had to shut down the islands. Remember, that was at the end because of that same thing. People were going out there and using it for purposes which it wasn't meant to. And then on top of that, they were being left out there. They were doing water Ubers. Remember, people would just leave them out there, which wasn't helpful either. But they did step in, of the the Candlewood Lake Commission to shut down that lake. So not that we want to shut down waterfront at all with the riverfront. It's not, at least my thought anyway, but if they could come up with some way to step in to help us, that would be really helpful. But we've done that before here. So it still depends on what Hartford wants to do. You bang in the door, really, we will. I have another letter in the hopper to go back up to Commissioner Dykes and see if I can, use Senator Harding and Representative Warren to kind of knock on the door a little bit as well. So next question.
So Memorial Day to Labor Day, perhaps having a gate, perhaps having a college student or someone there with perhaps the trooper on speed dial. So have we ever done anything like this before? Has there ever been a gate there? Has there ever been someone?
I mean,
Ruth Adams talked about it, and I think he might have even purchased it, but it never got installed.
Yeah, the only one was on the river road.
On the road, on the other side, so we've never done something on this.
I
So
mean, I try to, when I think about it, I'm thinking it's something like Kent Falls. We have a limited amount of parking, and once that parking is filled, that space is closed. And they have to very much patrol, the no parking signs are up out of, everywhere. Make sure this is absolutely clear, no parking in this space once that spot is full. So it obviously has to be staffed if that's something that you're gonna do or enforce.
and you said there might be funding for this. You said this.
Yeah, there are funds available through the Wild and Scenic River designation designed to, okay, what are things that need to be done for this river to make accessible, but safe accessibility, and a lot of different agenda items. If on the Housatonic River website, the community grants program kind of lays out the process for it. And it's intended to be pretty straightforward. Basically, one of those things like if the town or decided this is what we're going to do, but maybe we don't have money for it, that could be a way to make things that we think would be a good idea to have, but maybe we haven't budgeted for. That would be an option to have a chunk of change to do.
So this sounds like a good idea to me. I mean, clearly having this open all the time, not working well. We don't want to shut it completely for everyone either. So here we have an idea. there might be funding available for it. We thought about it before. So maybe,
It's complicated because of the multiple state agencies that are involved. Because of the railroad going through.
Right.
So it's like you can't, I guess you can't put the gate
Yeah.
on
To
the
the
east side, you have to
Yeah,
put
yes,
it on the
yeah.
west side.
I see.
That's what I remember the discussion.
I see. This is other issues.
So, yeah, it is.
So a bunch of moving
There's
parts.
too many jurisdictional
Yes.
overlaps there.
Because they have to be able to get to the railroad.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is when we close was the trooper basically closing it down during the week. We just told them to close it. They could move the stanchions
Right.
if they needed to. And the railroad was okay with that. They had no issue with that, as long as there was no physical lock barrier that they had at that point. But again, but the other part is once you get to the river, like Kent Falls, they have designated, picnic grounds. And they have all that stuff and they have garbage and they have, bathroom areas and all that. That it does cost but looking at a potential pilot program to see if they could do something, maybe that could go, but there's a lot of questions about where do we have, whose property we put it on? Because, the state, would they allow us to do that? Well, I don't know.
Is the town road width, is it just?
Yeah, it's just the width of that road. I don't, Rick,
Sitting behind you.
do you know how wide that road is?
Whatever between the fences.
Yeah. 20? I mean, it's not,
Road's probably 18 to 20, but the whole right of way is probably 50.
yeah, well, that's normal.
So there would be enough space to, if you wanted a swinging gate, to assuming you only need one-way traffic, the road is really only compatible for mostly one traffic anyway.
See, is there any other towns that are dealing with the garbage issue at a river access point?
Yeah, definitely.
What kind of solutions are they coming up with?
Well, Milford has they're at the southern end of River Road, the public access area there, that they have town permits. And you cannot park there unless you have a town permit. I don't know if that's something that would be an option because they have their own police department that's
Yeah.
policing that. So that might be a thing that wouldn't work here. Certainly up in Falls Village by the Great Falls, that's a place that is also had a lot of activity. It's and the local calling the state police. Part of the thing is that those access points are right next to the road. Whereas to go all the way down to North Kent Road at the end where everybody is, that's enough distance from people and from the troopers. It just maybe it's just kind of continue what we've been. Maybe it's just continue what we're doing. You're saying how frequently the troopers been down there last summer. And I hope to think that would start to kind of sink in and give enough people tickets and I don't know.
There are any towns that are removing garbage from these?
Very few
areas?
places have garbage. I think that having the garbage is not great just because of,
I mean, garbage
Air.
collection?
yeah. The cost plus the garbage and the raccoons, but again, it could be something if the town said, hey, this is gonna be better. Having a dumpster would be better than dealing with and making sure to have it collected every Monday morning or something like that. Or have something that have to be bear proof and coon proof and whatnot, just because.
okay. I know Mr. Gary's got his hand up. I can feel it. Yes, sir.
I'm just a little confused. I don't believe the town owns beyond the railroad tracks. Is that accurate?
No, you're all done.
I'm sorry?
We own just the right of way down to the river, nothing else.
You own a right of way,
Right, the road right away.
but do we maintain that road all the way down to the right of way or do we maintain it right to the railroad tracks? Because beyond the railroad tracks, to the north, we sold land to Bob Avian, who gave it to the land trust, and that goes right down to the river. On the left is the state road. What?
We take care of the dirt part as far as the gate there.
So is there a reason why we do that?
Take care of the road.
I'm sorry?
You can take care of the road while you take.
Why, if the land is not ours, from the railroad tracks down, are we maintaining from anything beyond the railroad tracks? Number one, because we don't own it. Number two, why are we having a discussion about land that we don't even own? Why are we, the town, supposed to be maintaining, giving garbage, putting up blocks for property we don't own.
Who owns it, Rick?
It's owned by the state of Connecticut
If they don't some,
Most of it, actually.
and the land trust.
From the state.
Surveys are pretty clear. The state owns everything to the left side. On the
Oh.
right-hand side is the
interest.
Kent Land Trust. So again, clearly it's a place where people go. I don't know why we're spending so much time on an issue that we don't own anything there, number one. Unless you all decide, yes, let's provide public parking for people who want to go down onto the state land. It's not a park, it's not like the state park. The state owns that. If the state were to open a park there, okay, then they would have to do monitoring and garbage and all of that. State is not willing to do that, doesn't sound like. It's not a state park. So I don't see why we're talking about it. If we're having a problem with people parking on the road, that's a parking issue.
Much more than just parking.
I'm sorry?
It's much more than just parking, as you probably know.
Well, no, I know that, but then the state of Connecticut has to deal with the fact that there's garbage down there. Is it really our responsibility?
Water.
There's garbage down there. At some point, the state is not going to be happy when somebody goes down there and says, or the land trust says, why are they on my property? I mean, it's a liability for the state. If somebody is drinking alcohol down there, or somebody drowns down there, that's not on us. And in fact, I would argue, why would we put parking down there to encourage somebody to go and do that? I think that then puts the liability on the town of Kent that says, yeah, we've made this a recreation area, but we don't control anything.
True, but we do have to maintain the road, though it is a town road, and there is safety and security access for swiftwater boats into the river to help protect any response up and down that part of the river from the old Kent Bridge, the Kent Road, North Kent Road Bridge and down.
So you're saying the town is responsible for emergency services?
We are called on it, yes.
So why don't we just shut down, decommission the road and then just make it a right of way for our fire department?
Well, then,
We can discontinue a road.
but then you're
The railroad.
eliminating access to avian preserve too.
Well, no, Avian Preserve actually goes right up to Route 7. So anyone who wants to use Avian Preserve can go right up on Route 7 and the land trust can then make a parking area like they do with all their other sites. And I just think it's a liability issue if we're providing any services for land we don't even own. And if it's an emergency services issue, make the road an emergency services only road. Unless your park and recreation here said, no, we really want to make this a park and recreation, then that's a whole other thing. But I personally don't think, I think we're spending way too much time on something that's not even ours.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Well, we're spending time on it because it's a safety concern. So that's why we've spent so much time on it recently. So.
Right, but it's a safety concern, in my opinion, that's not ours to police.
Okay. I think obviously we'll continue the discussion and see where we can get deep to actually step up and
Yes.
see what they have to say. Comments. Appreciate it. There, but thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you. Excuse me. That's it.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. All right, new business B, we have scheduled meeting, selectmen and incoming board of selectmen. I'm not sure that that's gonna be viable to actually have a meeting. My schedule has gotten crazy. The next week and a half anyway. And with the, I'm not sure we can actually I can't really attend a meeting of a board at that time after working hours.
Does it have to need to be during the day? Is that what you're saying?
Well, there'll be a turnover, obviously. Eric and I have talked about trying to set up a turnover for next week. I don't know. He's been.
My question is, could you attend a meeting if it was during the day?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I have working hours, sure. Of course, up to that point, yeah.
We asked Lynn about her schedule and Eric's schedule, because they're both on the call. Would you be able to meet during the day to have like a special selectmen's meeting? Is there any day better than another?
My worst day would be Thursday, but I can still work around that.
Okay. Eric, do you have?
You're talking next week?
Correct.
You have a better day to meet during the day?
I can make it work. The best is, first thing in the morning if possible.
That's what those we talked about after he drops his kids off at school and there's some time there in the morning, so.
So like 8:30, 9:00?
8:30 would be great. 9 o'clock would be great. Yeah, either of those.
Is it
Okay,
work for you?
I'll,
No.
Not really.
Oh,
We'll work on the
No.
schedule.
huh?
Not really unless it's a Monday.
All right,
Well,
I'll
I
see.
could do Monday. Yeah.
No, no, I have to check. I'm just sure it's been up the weekend. I have to. Going on at home. So let me take a look at this and we'll get back to you guys tomorrow, right, with some potential.
I can also easily meet over my lunch break at noon, so.
Zoom or something of that nature like we've done. in the
Yeah.
past. Yes. Okay, all right, let me take a look and see what we can do.
The only day that's not good for me next week is Tuesday.
Yeah, that's,
Since it would be a special meeting, what exactly would I be putting on the agenda?
I'll let you know.
I mean, I just, so that when you're scheduling the meeting, you know how much time are you thinking of allotting and what would you actually be discussing so that I could put it on an agenda?
Where the aliens live.
I think it might have a lot to do with some of these ordinances and stuff that we're moving on. I think that's a big thing. It was talking about things that we hadn't finished, that we knew the new board was gonna have to deal with. That was the idea for the meeting. So there could be sort of a transfer of.
Marty gets a date, we'll kick around some of the draft agenda before I
Yeah,
file it.
yeah, it'd be nice to share it with us.
Yeah, before I file it, so you guys can.
Okay. Next is appointments. You have that list of the appointments. We did put the vacant ones on there just because we needed to manage the time and the term of appointments and so on. So we're keeping it in our minds about what is available. I'm asked if there's any questions on the appointments. If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve appointments as submitted. One second.
I have questions. So Kevin Place Cemetery Committee, it says elevate to member. Is he like filling an unexpired term or something like that?
I have an email that Laura you sent us to, oh, sorry. One different one. We have, yes, I think,
Yes.
yeah, it was to elevate them, correct. And then,
So what's the term he's filling? There are no terms?
no
I
term
thought-
amazing point, too.
There's no terms? I thought that was part of the ordinance.
I don't have them listed if that's like.
Yeah, we didn't, was one he never had a term on.
Oh, we had done like staggered term. The ordinance.
I don't think it's cemetery now.
Hmm.
That was a big one starting out. I think we left it to, I think we can do a bylaw or something, change and establish at that point, but,
Go back and check.
yeah, but at the time, I know that we needed to seat everybody at all once, and we did that all once, so that they could get the, cleanups and everything going for that spring and all that stuff they did.
So the Northwest Mental Health Council, is that something that has recently been vacant, or have we not had somebody for a long time in that? Okay. And do they meet on Zoom or do they meet in person?
I think they meet,
Yeah.
I think it's Zoom. Again, it was assigned originally to social services, I think, but.
Okay. So did the previous social service director fill that role?
The first time, yeah, Leah did years ago. Then,
And is Samantha not willing or has not been asked?
she, I think she was asked, but I think with the other things going on, it's, we thought it would be good to bring someone else in. And open that up to someone else. I mean, kind of, it's a little bit insular up there without a commission with Sam, so having someone else on, some of the other committees, I think actually helps.
I know you put some things in the newsletter.
Yeah, we'll put,
Probably need to put it out on the website as well.
right, yeah. Well, I wanted to go through you guys before we.
Yeah, yeah.
So. just let you know.
The question about I have a question about the town attorney as well. Do we always have Kramer and Anderson, or do we have Randy DeBella?
He is from Kramer and Anderson.
I know that.
Do we always, he has been our designated one, yeah, but for years, we've used others too.
Yeah, I don't remember it saying Kramer and Anderson.
Um,
Who was,
oh, I'm sorry, well, technically, we hired the firm, and the firm provides us, we've had Randy as our point of contact, but he's getting, I think, a little more towards retirement, you know, he's had some issues as well. But he's still answering the phone every time I call, not a lot, but there's others, we've had, John,
yeah, I know we've had lots of other people.
yeah, lately, yeah, so.
Um,
It may actually be, the reason we didn't put him on directly is in case we decide to go with, or the new administration decide to go with this, like I did, right? We got it.
yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you.
To
Yeah,
see how it would go. Yeah, we can postpone that one for the new one.
yeah, I think that would be smart to give Eric
Yeah.
a chance to review.
Sure.
You can't postpone it, you won't have a town attorney.
Wait,
The term expires 11/30 if you post.
But what did we do last time? When Marty started, we did
we can
something
do, like I
similar.
said, we can do a postponement on that, or a continuation of the contract.
Right.
That's what we
You
did.
had them for like 3 months or something, but you can't just
Yeah.
postpone the vote of nobody.
We'll do a continuation, for a limited term, and Randy's aware of that, I talked to him tonight.
Okay.
So, yeah, we can do that,
We have to do a separate motion on that.
Is there any other?
And America 250 doesn't have any terms either, huh?
No, because it's.
By
a term,
resolution?
Right, well.
And it's supposed to be a short term.
Correct, yeah, by short. Next,
Okay.
250 and then 250 first. Okay, Okay, all right, we'll do two motions. First is, move to, make the town attorney, expire the term of 2 years, which is set to expire 11/30, to extend it to 31 January 2027. And 2026, excuse me, to expend, yeah, to extend from January 30th, 2026, for review at that time.
Does that make sense? Okay, I will second.
Okay. Okay.
Aye.
Second will be to approve the remaining members as submitted for terms to expire as outlined in the vacancy areas.
Second.
Great. Okay.
Aye.
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 Thank you. Okay. Not gonna go out of order today. I'll write that already. No, I didn't. That was okay. Request for 824. Okay, right, 824 that we discovered or kind of outlined, we knew that when the cemetery committee took over, that there were going to be potentially undiscovered cemeteries around that the town would have to absorb. In the ordinance itself, it says that, you know, as the 6 that we outlined and any others would be absorbed. Well, excuse me, we were informed that there were 2 smaller cemeteries that up on Richards Road, and one up on St. John's Peak, needed to also be brought in. It was recommended that we actually do an 824, submit 824 to planning and zoning to review the location on the, there's no encumbrance. If you've seen the, I pulled all the information out of it, and then it's quite a lot to absorb. So I wrote the 824 letter, I think that you guys have reviewed all.
Yep.
Dated as tomorrow, approved, and with the description and then the reference to the attached material. And we did get, with the new GIS imagery we have in the assessor's office, showed you kind of location for plots, so that was good. So I'll open up to any questions regarding cemeteries.
So we're sending this to planning and zoning,
Correct.
and then what's the next step after?
Then they do a review of it, and if there's no question about it, it gets approved and absorbed into the ordinance, and the responsibility for the cemetery committee to look at, to review and maintain. Then it becomes, yeah, that becomes, they've actually named cemeteries as part
Does it
of.
come back to the selectmen? So we can
Yeah, it'll come back to that site.
selectmen and
Yeah,
then we just have to
yeah,
approve it.
approve it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Then it goes cemetery committee for any other questions they have or any submission they have, so.
So do we need a motion?
Yes.
All right, so what should I refer to this as? I make a motion.
Motion for,
I would make a motion to approve the referral for review for transfer of property from the Kent Cemetery Association to the Town of Kent Municipal Property under the control of the Town of Kent Cemetery Committee under CGS 824.
I hear a second.
Second.
Second, okay. Any more discussion on the actual? Material? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay,
Aye.
thank you.
That was my longest motion.
But we had it written down. It's good. All right, thank you. Okay, capital plan. We're. Are you on, Barbara? I'm sure she's not on right now. Okay, we should go. I'll go in. So the capital plan, it's getting formulated and ready to go. I thought it's really part of maybe the turnover and all that stuff. We can go over aspects of it, but it's not ready for this.
Is it in a folder or not yet?
It's not full yet. No, it's all, that is not yet. And we deliberately did that so that we would wait for the new people actually to get sworn in and then they can have that meeting and get together.
Did you get a response from the Board of Finance chairman?
Regarding
Letter?
banks, yes. Yeah, they're gonna, whatever we want to do, however we want to do it, until the board actually, Board of Selectmen meets and decides to send it forward. At that point, then they will accept it. Yeah,
So they're not gonna jump ahead of us?
not gonna jump ahead of us. They didn't mean to, but the way they put it out, it sure looked like it.
Yeah.
And, yeah, but no, that's not their intent at all. And I appreciate Nancy's response to that we shouldn't mean to do that, but that we're just looking at dates. And so we do want to get it a little bit quicker than we did last year, which, did go longer, but this still should give us plenty of time and a new board, I should say.
And have you had a conversation with Eric about that?
About this yet? No, we haven't gotten to that point yet. Selection hearing.
Basically, the Board of Finance would like us to deal with it in December.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right, no, well, that's when next week we'll go over all this. I mean, like I said, we planned on it a couple times and, we could get together and it's, so I have a turnover folder going forward. So turnover pile of paper on the desk, if you know how I operate up there. So, but yeah, we'll discuss all that and so on and, along with the board, so. Okay, all right. Purchasing policy. But one of the things, obviously, but one of the things that we wanted to do, especially led by Joyce, was to ensure that the implementation of any purchasing ordinance, which we have passed, that we actually have a policy that actually implements it and gives us a specificity on what to do with all this. So I think you guys had a chance to look at it. Barbara suggested this as well, and so we looked at a couple of different examples from some of the other towns, Wilton and the other one. Anyway, a couple of other policies that we had to do that. So this is kind of where we based off of those examples in our ordinance. So, open to any comments, questions, concerns, thoughts?
So the policy is going to reference the ordinance?
Ooh,
Okay.
excellent. Yeah.
So it was brought to my attention that, there's a difference between sealed bids and requests for proposals, or competitive bids and requests for proposals. And so I think some of the wording on that needs to be changed because it seems like both are referred to. So, I mean, I guess I don't really understand what you were thinking in terms of how is that decision made? If it's competitive bids or RFPs.
Yeah. Do you want
I'm
to?
happy to revise it. I basically went off what the ordinance says. So, and you guys approved the ordinance already. It needed to go to town meeting. So that means you're questioning the ordinance because I took wording out of that. So I'll go back and fix this and then we'll have to go back and look at the ordinance again before it goes to town meeting.
Well, I mean, there may be some situations where competitive bidding is desired.
Absolutely, but if you feel it's conflicting in there, I can go back and.
I just wanna
reiterate
make
it,
sure that-
Find them better.
Because this is really for the department heads,
Absolutely.
you know, so they need to make sure they understand the difference between competitive bids and RFPs, so. Maybe we need to include a little language, to make sure they're clear on that.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah,
I thought of that too. I didn't remember, but. Okay, so let's go back and redo that. Go back.
the other question I had was, you referred to this, new position. Director of Administrative Service, DAS, so we don't have that right now.
That was what I had proposed from the beginning. You asked, why are you doing it so soon? I
Yeah,
think if we're really going to have a purchasing ordinance and thing that we ought to relook at what the position is of the administrative assistant in virtue of all the contracts and managing the buildings and all
Right.
that purchasing sort of that. So
but this is a policy, so this is pretty easy to change. I don't think we should put forward something for a position that doesn't currently exist.
okay,
So is it the first selectman that would do this, or is it
well, yeah.
in the interim?
We'll do the first slide.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like what we do now when I sign all the contracts. Most all, so, and not that they would not, I mean, still there would be ones where the first selectman would sign the contracts, obviously, long-term ones and so on, but the director would be proposed in DS. I mean, the responsibility is increasing all the time, and that position is, you guys probably have seen over the past couple of years. And I just think as we work through job descriptions and so on, which coming up, there's a lot more of that to really, I think, and that's what Eric and I need to talk about as well. Since a lot of that goes through the first selectman, when we actually do the approval of the ultimate job descriptions or through the first selectman.
Marty, maybe you could explain, like, when Rick has a request for proposal or something that has to go out to bid, what is the process?
We talk about what's in the budget and look at the timing of when he wants to put that out. And it's also the timing when he wants responses and then when we can actually fund it and work with the contract itself. A lot of it is actually the RFP and then getting the contract in place. So we'll have that discussion. He'll tell me what he, you know, under the authority that we've given him through the budget and what he wants to do. And then the RFP, he'll put it together. He'll show me what he's looking at, or we'll discuss what he's doing. And then he goes forward with that. And as a department head at that point, I think I've done the oversight. We know what he's going to do. We know he knows exactly what monetary, limits he has and the time frame, what he wants to do, and what, again, his department might have to do to support some of that. Sometimes it's cleanup, sometimes it's prep work, whatever it might be, on a paving project or a bridge work or something like that, or some, one of
So the department head is responsible for writing it.
Correct. Oh, yeah. Well, that's we hold them responsible for understanding what it is that they have asked for in the budget and what they want to do. So, but again, it's looked over by myself. I mean, Joyce takes a look at it as well to ensure that, it's proper to go out. And then we, so we have that review process. We'll have a meeting to make sure that sounds all good. We understand what they're doing to do. And so I understand when he's actually, implementing the budget and implementing the different, requirements they need to do. So.
Under 3.7, the intergovernmental and state purchasing. And reading through it, I wondered, does the 25,000 still apply there in terms of?
Yeah.
So this would be under 25,000?
Correct.
This could happen?
Correct. And because the state has that, and I think actually we've mentioned that's going up.
Yeah.
But like the Capital Region COG, they do purchase, they do procurement areas and they do supply chain that'll help us in different areas. I don't know, Rick, if you've used them on anything specifically.
Not yet. What the pricing on it?
But the COG has certainly with, some of the use of equipment, the shared equipment and repair and so on. We've used, their ability to do some, and it looks like you'll be doing more. The COGs are getting more kind of like the county governments in a sense, other places, there a lot more money is funneling through the COG and so on. So this will allow us within our purchasing authority to go and work with them on that as well. I know that we did, we joined the Capital Region COG, Rick and I discussed that, whether we think it would be good. We thought it would be, we're sometimes not sure exactly what they'll be able to do. Sometimes they come up with, hey, I've got this, I can provide you with, well, salt, we did salt with the COG and things like that, but some other things that would be with the state itself. Through that. So yeah, our limit would be,
To be, yeah.
oh yeah, no, our limit is, yeah, it's what we have. Yeah. Wouldn't be any more. We'd have to go back and request some additional authority if there was something we needed that was above that the COG or CR COG or the state itself could procure for, say, 45,000 or something. We'd come back to the board on that, of course.
And just for clarity, it would be then up to the department head to decide whether it's competitive bidding or an RFP.
Yeah, I think so.
Path
Yeah,
they
look
were
at,
gonna take.
yeah, they would look at the prevailing contract, I'm trying to say prevailing, business, aspect of what the companies are producing and so on, whether they have to do competitive bidding or just an RFP itself to have anyone come in and so on.
Okay.
Yeah, it would, definitely be with the department heads. But, but again, as I said, we'd be discussing how they would do that and review the bidding process, set up all their procedures for review and open bidding, open the bids and all this.
And have the department heads looked at this?
I believe so, yeah, they almost all have, not all of them, no, well, Rick, I guess, we always use him as a guinea pig.
Could we share it with the department heads to see if they have any
I know I've talked to,
concern?
yeah, I've shared it informally with, Park and Rec and with,
Okay.
as well, so, yeah, they're the two bigger ones that we have,
Yeah.
most of the purchasing, so. And the RFPs and so on, go out now with Park and Rec right now,
Mhm.
they're working on one for their Emery. Yeah, so we didn't really share it, we'll look at the wording and.
And the statutory threshold, that word statutory is referring to our ordinance, right?
For us, yeah, it's our state, and the state, we can't go over the state's limit, even if we decide to change.
No, but I'm in this policy, the word statutory is referring to our ordinance, right?
Yeah. First, it refers to, it's a climbing thing, it's first in our ordinance, correct? It's our statute, that the policy would be activated under your ordinance, correct?
I just see the statutory as being state law and.
Well, like I said, we use that language, it's common in other areas, but, so. Charters towns are different. A bit
I know,
different, some of that
I know,
stuff.
and there's very few
So we
that
see-
are chartered.
Exactly, some of them.
We're one of them.
Right, yeah, exactly. So that's, some of that language can be a little confusing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we'll pass this,
Good start.
along and just, yeah, it is. Okay. Okay, what's the vehicle use policy? Since we now have a couple of municipal vehicles, it's very important we get something. This is, and all these have been looked at by the lawyer too, so far. So, and, labor and by, Randy, right now, not labor so much, vehicle use was not labor relation. We have used, I think, talked to labor on policy, purchasing policies and so on, but yeah, this has been by Randy.
So I went back to our existing policy. There's a policy called Downtown Vehicle Policy Agreement form.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea to have anybody who's going to be using a town vehicle to actually say they agree with the policy, not to really.
Okay.
That's what our existing thing. is.
Right.
Basically, I've read and agreed to comply with this policy.
Yeah, we did, you're right.
We have a copy, we keep a copy of their driver's license. Did we do that
Yeah, we
for
got that.
everybody who drives? Joyce? No. I think we should.
Okay, we can put a policy or a policy agreement form as how we're talking, so. We want. And we
I mean, did we compare what we have existing when this new thing was drafted?
I did the drafting on that one.
Yeah.
I looked at it and I just wanted to make sure that when we brought in, you know, the specific ones that are used, like the fire marshal, does his equipment and the chemical contamination and so on. It's different, but how we brought that in, and the one that we use for the park and rec. So I used that, but I didn't, put the agreement form in there and so on. I saw that, but,
And
we can add that.
what happens with, like, I understand the sewer commission also got a new vehicle.
Yeah.
I know the way it's sort of a strange relationship between the sewer commission and the town, but is that actually a town vehicle they're using, or is that?
No, sewer commission is what do they call it, municipal agent? No, it's not, there's a term that the sewer commission is called, that's, I can't think of the name of it right now. But it's like a separate entity under,
In the same way,
chartered by the
in
town.
the same way the school is a separate entity?
Yeah, kind of in that range, yeah, where they could operate their own vehicles and do all that stuff, yeah, so, but the sewer commission, yeah, their funds and everything else are
I know
totally
that.
separate, yeah, that's,
But I just wondered with the equipment, if.
we do some purchasing with them and so on, obviously, and the sewer commission works for them. And our people all work with sewer commission too, so, they're on, Rick and Joyce and so on, so there's always that little blower, but no, they operate as a separate entity, yeah, so they have no headaches. Okay. All right, and so we'll, have the, agreement policy, agreements form with that open. On. Good, yep. Right, job descriptions. Again, I've passed over the coming across my desk at this point. But again, like everything else, since we are moving to a new board, what we've really been working on is we have been working with Rebecca Goldberg, our labor lawyer, to discuss exactly who should have a job description, who needs a job versus a position description. And using those terms, kind of interchangeably, but really, the job description for a lot of the elected officials like town clerk and treasurer go off state statutes. So we could, we wouldn't change what their job or their job description or position description is as far as the state's concerned. But we also have people that do a lot more in the town. So we felt, even though we did get the word that we didn't necessarily have to have a job description for them or position description for our elected officials, we thought it was important for all of us to understand exactly what everybody's doing. So that's kind of when we kind of changed it. Joyce and I both agreed to disagree with the lawyer, and she said it's fine, just that's not been necessary in most other places. But we do, it will case in point that, we do a lot of things with the town clerk that are not necessarily within town clerk's job description, but she does more. A lot of others, the tax collector is pretty much stable, but if they do other things that do cooperate in the town itself, we thought it was important to have that described. And so for people also understood exactly what the job description is for the elected officials. And they can look it up, the statute, but it's nice to have that in file and to make sure that it goes in. And then, as we said in our board policy and so on, the first selectman needs to review all those and approve them all with the, consultation of the board of selectmen. So I didn't think it was right for me to do that at this point,
Right.
try to shove it all together. So we're pulling it all together. We'll go over it with the board and new board.
And what does that mean, consultation? Does that mean the board of selectmen would approve the job description?
The actual job description is approved by the first selectman.
That's a change.
That's actually what it says in
Our current one?
But we've always worked with the boards, and that's what I'm saying, in consultation and review, comments, changes, suggestions, and so on. And then the final, when it's done, is fine, when the review is finally done. It gets back in that old CEO thing, we've had that discussion.
Yeah.
So,
That surprises me, because
Well, again-
I thought the board of selectmen would approve the job description.
improve the jobs in the job description. It's again, as we've always done here, and I think we continue to do it, it's the ability to have that collaboration, to have, comments back and forth on what should be in there, what shouldn't be in there, explaining exactly what, any questions are on the job description and so on, and then go forward. But the actual approval does rest with the first select.
Is that legal? I mean, is that
Yeah,
illegal?
it's illegal. Yeah, it is legal.
Do we have that in writing?
yeah, we do have the background on that, yeah. I know, I'll have to go back and get it, but we can make sure that's available to you.
And just,
Yeah.
so I understand what you were saying, if it's an elected position, then we're calling it a position description rather than a job
I
description.
think, yeah, we can call it that. I mean, they're gonna be interchangeable. We'll just make sure in the title of it, this will be a job description for the position of, it's a position description of a position of. So just make that, it's a nuance without a difference, as they say, or
Uh-huh.
they say a change.
But the recommendation is it's better to do for elected officials?
I think it is. I mean, I think we talked about it because again, we have a lot of our elected officials do a lot of different things and a lot of people don't even know what, say what a real register of voters does. And just say it's, in the statute, whatever, 13 something or other. But to have one here and keep it consistent, so everybody knows who might apply for the position, to decide to run for the position, they can see exactly what it is. And we, as a board, again, really has agreed that this is where we want to go forward. And then, through that agreement, the board, the first selectman actually signs off on that job description, position description. Yeah, but it's, you guys will have a lot more discussion on that, I'm sure.
So have you decided, or are you gonna give a recommendation as to like a position like the town clerk that has these multiple sort of positions? Are they all gonna be under one position description?
Formatting, you're talking about formatting?
No, I'm just saying,
But-
like, she has multiple roles that
Correct.
she's fulfilling. Is that gonna be all in one document? Or-
It will be, but it will be, this is the town clerk as, the statute is this, the additional duties or the additional duties in that position here does this. That also allows you to change for some reason, say, the first, or the Park and Rec that wants to do the social media or something, you
Yeah.
could change that over, move that over without it being, not captured as such. That's what we really wanted to make sure that we also identify and necessarily reward those that are doing extra jobs and extra duties, right? We talked about that. And then just really describe what the future of the organization can look like, changes, it's something that's flexible enough to be moved and changed as necessary. But the core position, stays there because that's what our either ordinance or state statute says, says.
So where are you guys at on this process? Like, do you have half of them? Do you have 75% of them?
90%.
Yeah, about 90. We're doing some editing on, some have come in and, are different. So I've kind of, edited it down a little bit. So we're, repetition and I do this and then I do this and I do this later. And then later on, I said, I do this again. It's like, okay, just need to edit it down. So it's more cogent,
Okay.
I think. And that's what we'll be submitting with Eric and with you guys, with the next board. Go on this side now. You might see it financially. But yeah, so we've put quite a few done. They've done a lot of work. I mean, Rick and Joyce have chomped through all this. And Vegas is making sure we got the right format for all of them. So that it's not different. We've seen that.
Yeah.
Basically, and a lot of them, to be honest with you, are quite old, if you want to use the word. They haven't been updated or changed in a while, and statutes change as well. So, yeah. Okay, our old business parking in Elizabeth Street update. I'm very happy to say that some of the issues about the site plans and businesses that were having employees park areas that shouldn't be have concluded successfully after the planning and zoning meeting and the letter that was sent to the offending business, or to the allegedly offending business, we'll put it that way. And returns from that business has been, we want to cooperate, we found parking spaces. So the issue on Elizabeth Street, there's still, I think at some point, the board might want to look at whatever. I mean, today I got hollered at for one of the workers, parking painter came late, but during bus time parked in front of the house on Elizabeth Street. It's being renovated and that caused problems. So we have to reinforce that. So I've asked them to reinforce the signage on the south side of Elizabeth Street to make sure there are no buses during the 2:30 to 3:30 and 3:30 or 7:45 to 8:30 and then 2:30 to 3:30 timeframes. Though, but other times the bus company said, we're okay with people parking there. Occasionally a bus comes by at noontime, but it doesn't interfere because we don't have the volume of parental traffic coming in or other people dropping, things off. So that side I think is taken care of. I did the other side. the businesses understand their responsibility to adhere to the business plan that they have, the site plan they have for employee parking. Businesses are regulated on on Bridge Street that way. Not necessarily on 7 because of the inability to have parking. They can use the state parking areas that are there. It would be my recommendation. Well, I think it's for selectmen. I'm willing to look at removing the parking restrictions at this point, because we did say it would be temporary, because I think we have worked out the issues that were really causing the problems at this point. And then continue to work, I think, and maybe Eric's the right person to do this, with the fire department to see about, promoting that municipal parking area and putting up signage to that, so we get people who realize that they might try to shove a parking area in there, that they can park there safely and maybe walk up and so on. But I think that's the recommendation I've had for a while, especially municipal parking lot. But I think, anyway, in what I've seen, what I've heard, and I just got an email from Motor Riot tonight that again expresses their interest in being the better businessman, the better cooperation and so on, now that they've kind of understood and they've made their changes to their site plan to accommodate the offending, vehicles that were claiming to, and he's gonna fix the oil spots and
Oh,
all.
that was my next
Yeah,
question,
It's
because
gonna be my question.
people have asked me, I mean, what's going on? Like, who's gonna clean this up?
Yeah, it's
and
I'll-
pretty bad.
Yes, there was one vehicle that you could see it, and everywhere that one vehicle parked, that was a problem, and he said he'd take care of that. He would have Motor Riot take care of that, so we'll see when he does that. But there's other oil spots and other cars, that sweat in the summer and all that, that cause problems, so, but those were the specific ones that he was gonna fix. I got a picture of the vehicle actually, with the spot right in front of my house. But yeah, and so I think, unless you guys have an objected for some reason, listen to, I'm gonna, maybe in a week, the end of this week, pull the, effective next Monday, pull the signs. The restrict parking and let people park back.
Too bad it came to that, but it had to come to that.
Yeah, yeah.
And the road has been clear. I mean,
Exactly, Glenn. And there's two things. I mean, we appreciate, and I totally understand all the people on that north side of Elizabeth Street, on the west side, that have parking. And I know that the Riverview Commons thing or is a non-conformal parking. They don't have parking for each unit. There's some that are light on that need help out front. But that parking is town parking. It's not their personal parking area. And that would need to be kind of reinforced as well. It's town area. And I think we got that point across as well, that they're able to park there. But once December comes, there is no overnight parking. So people will have to move off
Oh, because of the snow stuff.
Yeah, snow, right, which we have that is an ordinance that's on the books on that. So.
I'm glad that a lot of this was resolved before Halloween.
Well, exactly,
That's
yeah, so that's why I
timing of
think
this
I
was-
told you guys when I called, that's why I acted quickly for
Yeah.
that. But yeah, and it was safe and the town was great, and the town crew was great to get out there and put all
Yeah,
that.
thanks to the town crew for that.
So, and the people that live there understood, and they cooperated, we had that meeting with them. So, yeah,
Good.
but, yeah, okay. Any other thoughts, questions right now?
Glad there's cooperation.
Yeah, it is, yeah, exactly. Back to Kent way it should be. Okay, economic development ordinance. Next step to the subcommittee.
The next step is
Yeah.
subcommittee. So, I guess, if it's okay, I'd like to talk about the ordinance and then maybe my report, which only, included, Economic Development Commission, information. The ordinance looks pretty thorough. Right, Attorney DeBellis looked at this, looked it over. It looks pretty thorough to me. I just had a question. Maybe we don't know what this is, but, part 7 there, commissions operating and capital needs shall be included in the town budget process, including clerical and administrative costs. The town may annually appropriate for the funds of the commission not exceeding 1/20th of 1%, 0.05% of the last completed grand list of taxable property as permitted under 7(1)36. Do we have any idea what that might be?
The,
Like what?
actual the actual dollar number is, I don't know.
So yeah, so
It just says may, and
May,
that was in
yeah.
the statute, so like.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's okay.
We talked about at some point having funds to be able to do things
Yeah.
and so on.
Yes.
Big part was that last sentence where the grants, that's the thing to go after, the grants and shall be used only for the authorized economic.
Yeah, so I was just wondering how much that might be.
I don't, I'd have to, I should have asked.
That's okay.
I'll just find out what that is.
Yeah, I think it's a good point, Glenn. I think we should definitely know that moving forward.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So if there is a line item moving forward on a budget, should this thing, pass,
Okay.
the next board anyway should know roughly what that might be.
Okay.
So that's a revenue figure.
Yeah, exactly. That would change necessarily, but it's up to, in May, doesn't have to be, they could, each year you guys had a budget process, we're gonna fund you at $12.50 for a couple subscriptions to a magazine or something, and that's it. So it's only up, you're not allowed to exceed a certain percentage of that, right? You can't give $100,000 or whatever. I guess.
That's my one question, and then just linking that with my reports, just to jump to that super fast, that don't go through it here, but in my report, I just had the mission statement that we agreed to, and then I added all the mission statements from all the towns I looked at. And then cross-reference, if there is Chamber of Commerce in those towns, if there's a business association, and I'm sorry, I didn't make the link live, all that stuff. But just to give us and the new board certainly, a reference point. I mean, this is what other towns, this is what their mission statement says. Do these towns have a chamber? Do they have a business association? And these do, in fact. So I was trying to look for ordinances in other towns
Me
and
too.
I couldn't find any. I was trying to get as much information from these towns as possible, and I couldn't find an ordinance that was printable that I could cross-reference with what I'm looking at for ours. So just to say that, it would be nice, perhaps in the future board, could see another ordinance from another town.
Definitely want to see Washington's and Litchfield. And they do not exist online,
I couldn't find them.
I obviously looked at a couple, and then this is what we talked about with Randy, and I did talk to Washington.
Yes. Yeah.
But this is kind of an addressable call.
Yeah.
So,
So Marty,
yeah, go ahead.
we had talked about in terms of the makeup.
Yeah.
Like, should there be a representative from the chamber? Should there be, so we have different members by their terms, but do we have? What's your thinking about that? In
Well,
terms of, like,
actually,
should they be representation of a group or?
Again, that, I think we get into bylaws, and that's where I think the bylaws, like you guys worked so hard on the board of, or the Park and Rec Commission to get the bylaws squared away with the ordinance. I thought that's I wanted the ordinance to say this is number of people. Yeah, so you can change it exactly, that you'd have and this is what I did, discussed with Randy about how to set that and make it staggered and so on, and make sure it had the representation, and so on. And he said, well, bylaws is where you can change as different groups come in or adjust and leave it not as elected, but with the board of selectmen making those movements and decisions. So you guys are still, in the tenor of the town, they can hear what the people want to do. And so I thought that would be the way to go forward with the bylaws.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And use the mission statement as the opening of the bylaws.
That's a good idea.
That's where we're going to work under these areas. So.
One other comment I had is my concern is that I want to make sure that the Economic Development Commission under number 2 has the ability to execute things. I don't want it to be, because this is a standalone group. This is not a subcommittee of the selectmen.
Correct.
So I don't know what the exact wording should be right now, but I do feel like that it's not that they're just collecting information. They actually need to take action. They need to be enabled to take action. So.
Okay. Just the language on that, I think.
No, because like,
Right.
for instance, like if there is like a piece of property that this group thinks that the town should acquire or something like that, or should take steps to acquire, They need to have, they need to be enabled, they need to be able to take certain steps, no?
Yeah, and one of the things that I did put in there, that was recommended was a report to the legislative body. It was,
Yeah, I like that.
yeah, so that is kind of where, like I said, like there's recommendations, would be come forward and say, here's the recommendations, here's, and actually do the work of saying how we can get the grants and fund to it. So it's not left to just the first selectman or the board or the treasurer or something to try to run after whatever, that this body, this commission would actually do that. Now we can punch up the language a little bit too. You guys come up with some thoughts on it. I'll chop on it as well. I guess I kind of thought yeah. Well, thank you.
Okay,
Sure.
just have a question. What is the Board of Selectmen's goal in establishing an economic committee? What is the goal to, as an example, is the goal to increase foot traffic in town for the shop owners? Is the goal to increase values for landlords so their taxes can be paid higher?
I think you go back to the mission statement, I think that's our goal,
Right.
Yeah,
mission statement.
but it seems that, well, it seems to me that I don't see how you guys wouldn't be the authority to decide that, or not you guys, but the Board of Selectmen be the ones, and an economic committee is really, like most of them, just suggesting that these.
That's what I don't want to happen.
But see, what,
Don't want-
so you reference buying a piece of land. So,
Like they could do all the steps, they could do all the legwork. So it wouldn't fall on the last time we purchased a piece of land, the first selectman had to take a very active role in that process. But like, if there's like developing a piece of land,
yeah, see, and so just my personal opinion, I don't see how the town should be involved in development economically when, even though the mission statement says that, it really is, I mean, you're getting into a capitalist component for a town. And I mean, let alone years ago, Bruce didn't even want to have a charging station. I don't understand why this town would want to take on the role of buying property, if you will, and giving another committee the authority to buy that.
well, I'm saying that I want them to be able to execute certain things. I mean, I don't know, maybe perhaps that's not a good example because eventually it has to come to the Board of Selectmen and then it has to come to town meeting for that particular example of land purchase.
I see it akin to the sidewalk committee. There was a committee that was, given a task, given a mission statement, if you will. And then they did I mean, it took a while, but they did a good job at then pulling all that data together, getting that information, and then making a recommendation. Especially on something that's it's not as tangible. Economic development is not as tangible. Unless you're going to say, we're going to put in pathways so that we bring in more tourists.
I think it's, well,
We're going to go with planning and zoning, and we're going to figure out how to create higher density for more commercial. I don't know the answers, but I'm just,
okay, well, part of that is that we're working with a POCD, which is a great plan, but it needs execution. It needs execution. Planning and zoning hasn't been doing the execution part. They've been continuing to propose and promulgate a POCD. So taking aspects of the POCD, working with the boards and other stuff, and across those for that, that we're not doing a one-time only commission for sidewalks, or a one-time only commission for a park or festivals or art and expansion and so on, that we actually have someone that helps coordinate all those aspects. And it's in with the mission statement in a sense. And I'm not sure how much you've read it actually of the ordinance itself. There is areas of grants and so on that we go after. Now, part of this is actually coordinating with the COG and others, which the state is now providing, material for them to act as a regional organization. But we need someone to answer that regional organization and also to adjust as they go along. Now, I'll be honest with you, the last 2 years, I've been doing a lot of that on my own, and it takes a lot of time. So having a commissioner or board to be able to sit and do that with with an understanding of what the bylaws, the states that everybody's approved and the ordinance that the town's approved. And then actually go and execute that in coordination with the Board of Selectmen, which changes and can change attitudes and so on. We need to have that, I think, if we're going to move forward in some areas. And look at, what's going on now with the old the transformer, Birchfield.
Berkshire Transformer. Yeah, with the-
Berkshire Transformer. And that back and forth, not only is it just the building, but it's the property itself that is kind of left in, and there's some people are interested, some people have not. I probably have missed some opportunity maybe to push it forward a little bit so that we can get something in there that, would be transformative for some of that property and including the grants and so on. And that's something I think that this commission can work with the right kind of influence from realtors and from chambers and from architects and from the regular people, just the regular people in town and so on. And that's kind of what I look at this commission do, as much as it can or as little as it needs to, and then expand it as we did in the mission statement to go arts and craft to look at. Personally, I'd like to see us on the things like the pumpkin run, have more of a festival on that weekend or that day. Now we certainly have the next week, which is Halloween, or get into that and maybe look at what economically we can do that with that as well. It's to support how, we need to build and develop and grow. And it could be with public works and things like that. How do we work with zoning for this next, this Jim Mill Signs project over here, things like that. And what can we do to help develop stuff like that, work with the state?
Well,
That's kind of what I look
I
at.
see the merits of it. I bristle when I hear that a committee is charged with buying some property.
Oh, it would.
and-
It's not.
or
But organizing.
giving them the ability. I think they need to be a body that recommends and recommends only.
Right.
If you're charging them with drilling down and those things, well, that makes sense to me.
Well, okay, let's use a grant. So executing a grant, a 5,000 grant for something that develops something bigger for the town. Now, I know we had issues with the board, or with the Chamber of Commerce doing some flyers and things like that, we're limited, in my view anyway, as a consumer and a member of Kent. I don't really understand what they were doing with some of their stuff. But having a commission that could work with them to build something that is long-term and go from there, I think that's a good way to do it. It's not just the current businesses, but it looks at the proposed businesses, looks at Park and Rec, it could look things like, okay, a piece of land, piece of property, working with, say, Kent School for the property behind Kent Center School, which is still owned by them, but maintained and managed from us. But there's a certain limit to how much we really want to do to perform or to improve a piece of property, put in a hedge or improve the soil content, the grass for the kids to play on and so on, if it's not our property. If it's leasing for $1 a year, great. But if we want to put new drainage and so on, and something happens and all of a sudden Kent School wants to take that back, well, maybe we negotiate that. That's something we can help negotiate something for the town to decide if they really want to purchase it or work on them for, a donation or whatever the heck it was.
Yeah, traditionally, in most of the towns and cities, and you'll find the economic development councils, their main goal is to create more business opportunities. So the tax roll and the benefit for the government is the tax roll increases. That's the goal.
Not always, though.
That's pretty much most of the goal.
Yeah.
Not always. Nowadays,
So then
nowadays they're doing housing too. So
housing is also tax-based. So
But
that I think that's where I'm a little confused. I don't see a committee's goal to help develop anything other than a good part of it is zoning, economic zoning. You figure out where and what. And zoning did this with this high density. They said, we need high density because we need it for workforce housing, and we also need it, it will increase the tax base. And I think that is typically the main goal. And then the support behind it is where the town can do it. I know you talked about putting out EV stations, things like that, that's going to encourage. So I'm a little nervous when I hear we're doing the developing, because I just don't think that's the appropriate part.
yeah, I think in the ordinance, pretty much, I understand and the execution of grants and things like that have been approved already. So it's not just the commission approving and deciding to go off on their own. That's exactly, they do not want that. That has to be a commission run and organized by the board, selectmen and the townspeople, and not on its own. But I think there's other aspects that would you know, and we've talked about this, you know, to expand in opportunities and so on, and just help. And if we can get grants and funding from the COG coming through the state, that it would be the way to do it. Not just rely on our COG and others to help us out. But thank you for those comments. Thank you.
Real fast, just looking at just verbs on number 2 there. So Lynn, going back to maybe like, so we talked maybe about somewhat stronger language, if that were feasible. I mean, 2A is conduct research, 2B is make recommendations. In this case with land, it would be a recommendation anyway. It'd have to go to the board of selectmen of the town. 2C, cooperate and coordinate. D, prepare, print, distribute. 2E, apply for, receive, manage grants, and F, annually report to the legislative body of the town. Should there be another line there somewhere? Should one of those be perhaps reworded? If we
This is
want to
why-
make the stronger.
This is why I'd love to see some other ordinances, because I
Yes,
just don't. I mean, even looking through your report, it was interesting to see the different. There's a lot of variety in terms of
ton of
mission
variety.
statements.
that's what we talked about.
So
So
it's
much-
like, I just want to model us after the ones, the towns that are really able to, their commissions are able to do things. You know, it's not just collecting information, it's actually, you know, making change, you know, being able to enact change.
And that's why the subcommittee felt that Litchfield's was, we liked Litchfield's actually. And if you look at ours and Litchfield's, it's quite similar. I think it says more than Washington's, even though I think Washington's EDC is quite active and robust. You know, and it's one of them, I think it's Southbury. No, it's Bethel. Bethel was long. I put that last just to put that there. But that was a little too verbose, I thought. But anyway, and we talked about this in the subcommittee. I mean, some EDCs talk more about events and event planning, and others maybe do more with businesses, and others do more with land acquisition. I mean, some do. So there is quite a bit of breadth of action with all of these. So, but we felt that maybe we can do part of all of these things.
A little bit.
So.
All right, I'll go back and grab some of the examples that I had, see if they specifically talked to that. I don't remember that, but I'll look at it a little closer, and then maybe do some other looks around the state to see what else and provide you guys. Since it's first look. I mean,
Yeah, I appreciate all that you put into this, Christian.
Yeah, no, thank you for all that
Great.
work. We've worked hard on this for a while, so thank you for this.
The one, I did have a question on number 6, which I think it's a great idea to, you know, prepare a report. I mean, this is the commission, so they would be required to do a report to the Board of Finance,
Right.
the annual report. But I didn't understand why you have, along with a summary of receipts and expenditures.
that was what was in this a state statute,
Oh,
overall, that they should make that available.
wouldn't it be part of like the whole budget process?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it could be, you know.
Because they're gonna be, you know, any commission that's got a budget
Right,
is
yeah.
spending money as they go.
It's just, yeah. Yeah, just, that was it in the state, like I said, I went back to the state statute and kind of worked my way back, looking at some examples, but,
Yeah.
I can redo.
Just seemed a little weird to say you're only gonna do that annually.
No, yeah, well, it was, it.
Not that you're
specifically-
only doing it annually, but that it's being spelled out for you.
Exactly, we can do that. I'll rewrite that.
I do love the idea that this group would be charged with really trying to execute P O C D recommendations. Because that has continually been a problem where there's a lot of great recommendations and then
Yeah.
nobody's following up to make sure they get done.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, worked done very well, but yeah, needs to be. No take away.
POCD is referenced in one of the mission statements of one of the towns.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right,
I
specifically.
think Washington,
Yes.
they're like, they're in charge of making sure it's not.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. I think members of the subcommittee would be happy to know that this is moving. So thank you.
Okay, employee handbook. Lynn have been playing handball with handball.
I have a couple of questions.
But, Joyce, weigh in on these, we're still doing this.
Um. So I did try to go through it and do a lot of thinking about what we were talking about. So in some of this, I understand some of my questions are probably, it's longstanding tradition. Well, here's my first question. Why do part-time salaried employees receive PTO? They're part-time, so why are they getting paid time off?
I'm gonna let you.
Because they're taking time off now anyway with no record of what they're taking. Salaried person is going to get paid the same amount regardless if they're in the building or not in the building. And so if you put them on the same schedule as the full-time people, it evens the playing field that everybody's being recorded and making sure that.
Okay, so it's just a process.
Yeah, they're already taking it. I mean,
Okay, all right, so it's a process.
it's record keeping.
So I apologize because I'm having to do this. I printed the whole thing out, left it on my dining room table tonight. But there's a little chart right now in there about the PTO. Is that PTO in the chart? Is that what it exists currently?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
It
did
would be prorated on a part-time basis. So if
Okay.
somebody worked 15 hours, they'd get half of that a week, on a annual basis.
so did the previous PTO also include sick time, or was that always separate?
No, it includes it.
So the
Yeah,
So all we get is PTO. There is no more sick time. The board of.
I understand that, but the previous did include, that previous chart included sick time?
Yeah.
So aren't we then giving people more time?
No.
it's not additive, it's.
They were added.
It's inclusive.
Years ago, once it became PTO, so it was vacation and sick time. And a previous board combined it all to PTO, and nothing has been added to it. That's exactly what's been in the manual and what was combined. I don't even know how many years ago that we went to PTO from sick and vacation.
But doesn't the new sick law make it different now?
So that's true. So there is the additional 1 week of sick time because of the state benefit, correct?
But we haven't adjusted for that. Is that what I'm
Well,
understanding?
that's not the PTO, that's
That's an addition.
addition to, yeah. No, that's, yeah.
So you're gonna take it away from full-time people, but the hourly people that are getting it, you're gonna.
They have to get it. They have
So
to
do the
get it.
full-time people, that have to get it as well.
And it's,
Law, in the way that the state wrote that policy. Because it doesn't really apply to a salaried person. The way that
It's
it's.
the part-time
applied to a
hourly.
person.
part-time, well,
But that's a decision that you guys have to make.
It's hard to figure out if you don't have all the data.
yeah.
If you don't have all the information.
Yeah, well, this whole part-time thing, the 30-hour or per day and, or, home office. Whatever the heck the law is, it's been crazy. I know Barbara's been working on trying to find a better formula to manage it, and I think she has some success with it, just the hourly ones, hourly employees.
Okay, and I apologize once again, because I didn't bring printout, but there's a reference, before I go to that, there's a section where there's talking about, when somebody leaves. And I apologize, I don't have that in front of me, but could we include an exit interview will be conducted by the supervisor and a commission or board if the employee works for a group? Because,
Yeah,
we did that for the previous park and rec director, and it was very helpful to be able to go through that process, having an exit interview.
yeah,
And if we have it in
it
policy,
generally,
there's better chance it's gonna get done.
yeah, that's good, okay.
There's a reference to Board of Selectmen policies, and I apologize, I can't see it, in my comments where it is. I'll come back to it, because I have to get out of the comments to be able to see it. I'm jumping to the part where we talk about the talking with the media. So I really think that wording needs to be changed, because it seems like, I think department heads should be okay to speak with the media. Like,
Yeah.
I think Tim,
Yeah, we do.
I think Tim as the fire marshal, he has to be able to talk to the media.
Mhm.
I think Darlene as a town clerk has to be able to talk, and everything doesn't have to go through the first selectman.
Yeah, we were actually just talking about that today as well. It was a good, I think, good suggestion.
I think this is also about PTO. Who is tracking the PTO and who is approving their use?
I track, he approves.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that needs to be clear to people.
Well, okay, yeah.
So wouldn't a
Currently,
department head doesn't have anything to do with that?
no, department head approves, but it just goes for final understanding approval, so I could submit it to
But right now, the problem is the only people taking it are department heads,
really generally department heads.
Okay,
because the part-time people don't get it right now.
okay.
I mean, if they don't track it.
They don't track it, but yeah, we have, some people take it and we don't really track it.
I just think it should be written down, what's the process? I mean, this is your document that says,
Right.
what is the process? So.
Yeah. The flow chart we get is really, in the,
And then there was another section about, is this new having the department heads approve and track the hours worked, or is it gonna be communicated through the first selectman's office? Under record keeping, number 4. Sorry. Go back, see what section, use of leave, paid sick leave. Number 4, it says, record keeping, department heads are responsible for tracking all hours worked, approving or denying use of the accrued leave, and tallying accruals, usage, and available balances. Do they do that now?
That's, that, I believe the part you're reading is under the state, the new state law.
state law, right?
No, they haven't been tracking it right now, or prior to.
And then it says, if leave is taken in accordance with Connecticut paid sick leave, useful leave may not be denied. So,
Right, that's what this
I
rule.
mean, is it really gonna be the department heads, or is it gonna be?
Really shouldn't be, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, because again, we don't have big departments, and it's usually just the department head, so people, so,
switch that.
Yeah, I don't think.
yeah, we just want to make sure that any part-time people, we do have, like, Park and Rec has a lot of part-time people, that he or she, whatever the department head, Park and Rec department, can manage the time people are accruing, and be on awareness of what they're accruing.
But are they,
And then make sure that they.
but I mean, are they, you don't really want, or do you want the Park and Rec director to be having to manage that?
Well, he needs to manage it for, Park and Rec
To
specifically.
track it.
Track it, that's what I'm saying. Only manage is, making sure if somebody takes time, wants to take a day off and so on, if there's no one else to
Do we
spell
have a
it.
system where this is all being recorded, or is it recorded in a software or something? Okay.
Yeah, we use the software. Most
So-
everybody uses software.
It's just. This part seems like it doesn't make.
Yeah, look at that again, sure.
Let's see how you get back. Oh, there's a section in. Right under that 5 notice. Town shall provide all employees with a copy of this policy upon hire, and then in brackets it says, or this policy or poster in English or Spanish will be posted in conspicuous locations for the employees to review. Do we have to decide that?
No, I think it's,
Is it an either or?
We don't have a location because we don't have a break room per se anymore.
yeah, we have, this is the official board behind it.
Yeah, I know.
Doors here,
Saw that.
but it's, it's making sure they all have a copy. It's on file, electronic on file too, because they can always hear.
Right. We need to take out the or then.
Right, okay, Yeah. and.
There are 123 changes to.
Would it be helpful in if you and I
Yeah,
set some time aside and
say if you-
go through it together?
Well, there were some things that I thought needed to be. That the board need to talk about.
I mean, it'll bring back before the board. I mean, obviously, the next board will do more of the nuts and bolts as the new people in get a chance to review it as well. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe you just want to get Joyce and go over that specifically.
But here's a section where the remote work that we talked about, this board talked about. Under section 2.15 remote work. And it says a remote work arrangement may be short-term or long-term and may be hybrid or fully remote. I thought when we talked about it, it was only to be short-term.
You have
Yeah.
a full-time, you have a person who's almost fully remote.
We have one now, yeah. The assistant Marie, who for Barbara. Works
That's
remote.
not what we talked about.
Well, I know, but yeah, well, yeah. Well,
So maybe the wording has to be adjusted, so it's on a specific,
yeah, it's
if
all
a specific case must be approved. So, random people can't just say, hey, I'm gonna work.
Yeah, well, no, exactly. It has to be approved. It has to do for the benefit of the town as well. As long as we're not, in accordance with all ADA and other issues that we have to deal with. So, yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Some of that we just haven't refined all that. Your comments are good, helpful.
Oh, and then the opt-out program,
Mhm.
we took out the word law or in front of contract.
We do that what, I'm sorry?
We took out the word law or in front of contract. So. Everything else I think is pretty minor.
If you go back and look and.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk to you, Joyce. Okay. If any of my comments don't make sense.
Great. Okay, do you have any comments, questions, or anything?
I'm good.
All right, subcommittee reports. I think you're still having a meeting. The state's struggling to still try to find money and focus on the broadband programs. At least that's what I keep hearing. They seem to have a corridor that they're going down, but they're still not digging into things like the Hollow and other places. My observation of broadband.
They're not making it any easier.
That's what it means.
Their point is really just to work with the internet service providers. It's not really to help the residents. I'm kind of
Yeah,
irritated about it.
Okay, but okay, but you still have your meetings, which is good.
Yeah, we're working on things, so.
Want to talk sustainability and talk about
Yeah.
just want to go right into your report, your selectmen's report, since most of it's sustainability.
Trying to see if I can pull it.
Copy of it.
I'm impressed you got it in and I sent it in so late.
Okay.
Yeah, so the sustainability team has been busy. In my report, I talk about the sustainable CT celebration that I got to go to, which was really inspiring. I'll just hit the highlights. It was really cool to hear as they brought the towns up, they would say like an example of one project that they did, one action that they completed. And so I think I put in here and I'm like writing down ideas, like they were talking about, farmers market, sidewalks, composting food scraps, trail systems, dark sky regulations. I'm like, those are all things we could do.
We're doing some of it right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we talked about it on Monday night, and we definitely need to focus on the food scraps and be able to, gotta be some points there.
I would think so, considering we're one of the leaders in the state. But-
Yeah. So, and it was exciting because they actually awarded this money to the, 8 towns that were, climate leader designation. And they each got $12,500 to work, so, and they're gonna give out $100,000 next year, so that was kind of cool. And then I put in here, one of the best things was I connected with somebody from Roxbury, and they got bronze
Yeah.
this year. So
Yep.
we're gonna try to talk. I'll tap her brain and get some suggestions. They are doing a campaign to raise money, and they also are giving away 2 special prizes, an e-bike and a tent. I gave them very small donations.
Did you get the?
See if I could get the e-bike. We hosted the EV road trip, which was very cool. Got to meet Daphne Gibson in person.
Quite character.
Yes, she is. And along the way, I'll have to share this with you. Along the way, there was actually a reporter from the Associated Press who interviewed me, and I managed to get into the Boston newspaper.
The Glover.
AP story. They were talking about range anxiety.
Right.
The gist of the story. And we are moving forward with the EV chargers. I've communicated with Marty about this. We're now in phase 2 of the Gold Post program. And so they'll be examining viability and assess the sites. And I talked with Rick yesterday. He's willing to meet them because he's probably got more information in his head than anybody else in terms of like the power systems and stuff. So that would be great. And then we did meet on Monday, and I did learn at that meeting from Connie Manis that Kent Center School achieved recycling 1,000 pounds of plastic food wrap, which is going to earn the school a Trex bench, which is pretty cool.
They did that one other time.
They have done it before, but I guess Ann Starr really made a huge push this year, and before they've gotten like a planter. Now they have a bench.
Yeah,
because they got some-
they have.
So that's pretty cool.
We're kind of jumping ahead to the report, resident trooper report. She's in Dubai right now. Or actually UAE with her family. And she will try to come back to the December meeting, actually visit with you all.
Cool.
In the new board as well. That's the goal. But she'll be back, I think right on the 17th of she, like I said, just as I think I put out in the newsletter. They've done a great job of helping to support us down here. We have a lot of troopers and troop out that come from New Milford, so they make their way up through here as they're going to and from work, on another patrol or something. So we have quite a group of people here. Very, very good.
That's good.
Even when we don't have. So that's her report. Any more you want to talk about?
No, nothing else about my report. I mean, just again, thank you for that ordinance. Very good conversations tonight about what's the purpose of this thing. And I think it's still talking about this, and I look forward to seeing other ordinance or this again in the future, and we'll see what happens. So thanks.
Mine is forgot what everything else. I think I put mine on. Guys, did you get a email?
Yeah, read
Highlight, I guess, we did have the press conference yesterday. It went very well. And I have to say, I can't say enough about HRA, I can't say enough about Rick, Rob, and what we do. And we know that all of us that have ever used the transfer station or really ever asked for anything having to do with public works or the transfer station. It's been wonderful. It was nice to see it recognize the work that they do. Their cooperation with HRA is great. And Jen is a rock star there. So we had Senator Steve Harding and Representative Marie Horn did a great job. We recognized all the selectmen and all the boards that have come through in the many years, Gene, and one kind of getting the pilot started. Our board's done a great job. We know Eric's the new board will continue on with that. The two SSMR ones and twos that we have, it totals over $700,000. But for the composting side of it, and then for the municipal solid waste upgrade of the facilities itself, and the way station and all that kind of stuff. So it's great that we're recognized as one of the leaders in that. So that's a big one.
Were there any press there?
The local, we had the Lakeville Journal, we had the Kent Dispatch,
Okay, good.
things like that. So I think they'll feed off of that. I'm trying to think if it was someone else there. Well, HRA will put out a press release as well. Tiffany was there, so I'm sure she was recording everybody. So, so I'm sure they'll go somewhere, but yeah, and one of the nice things that the good thing we heard is that we know how frustrated on the first SSMR on the composting, how it's been pushed through so many different bureaucratic levels, and Marie addressed that there was a bit more of bureaucracy. We received a letter today, I believe it was, it said that they're moving a little bit faster to start approving it, so the release of the money can actually come and we can put it in effect. The Metro store boxes will be coming online here, and we've said that every week, but Jen agreed that they're kind of led it with that within a week or so, it should be up and running. So this week, she promised, but getting all it again, it just seems to be a lot of paperwork that I had to go through, and a lot of forms and stuff, but that's good. Let me see what else I put.
When we do that, when we make that announcement, we should definitely make a push for trying to get more people to do what I'm doing and just do the food scraps.
Right, and actually,
I'm sure that it'll make it easier for people to.
yeah, exactly. Connie Manis, it kind of said, we need to push it from their side as well, which could always use the help on that side, to reach out to all the other organizations that are associated with food scraps and so on, even down at land trusts and in the locals, farms and so on, that might have some of that stuff as well. But yeah, we'll be pushing a big public relations piece on that. I mean, last year was 26 tons. Well, then having the compost be directly here. And then we've talked about the regionalization of the composting and such that we were going to benefit from the state grants with this. And it's going to be an iterative thing. We'll be doing local first and getting that all set up and working through the problem before we open the doors and figure out exactly how we go. And that again will be the boards will look at that, whether it's how we charge, or if we charge, or what we decide to do with that aspect, to reach out, say to Cornwall or to Sharon or Warren or whatever, and how we open the doors and how we can man it. That was a big question that was asked, and it's a big thing here is Rob and Rick do everything pretty much. We do have a lot of the public works guys that do come in on weekends, or when when we're short, when Rob might be on vacation. Rick's always there, but somebody else comes in to help. They're very great to step up to do that as well. But if we are gonna, do midweek, anything like that, we're gonna have to really look at how that's funded and organized and so on. So that's part of it. And I'm just sure.
Question.
That's a good question.
Can Center School, have we ever encouraged them to do composting, to be part of this?
We've talked about it. In the schools actually have there's a state new statute, I think, that talked about bigger schools do composting and so on.
Bigger ones, Kent Center.
For a certain percentage, but Kent Center doesn't qualify in that with the tonnage, right? Or the weight.
Meaning they're strongly encouraged or they're required?
Somebody required if they produce a certain amount, right? But I don't think any of us, Kent was the closest, wasn't it? Remember that?
Kent School may have enough students, I don't know. But
Yeah, but-
Does it apply to private?
Oh, yeah, it does apply to all schools.
It applies to private schools too?
In Connecticut. I think it does, it did, but to any school that was that big enough that, some of the bigger high schools and so on in Binghamton, or Binghamton. What's the name of that place down in South? But, bigger towns that do produce that much, had to do a kind of a composting and organics recycling program. So, but we're trying to figure out how to handle it. That's the big thing, the numbers and so on. And then how do we handle and store the compost once it's produced? That's the other piece that but, you know, well, I guess we'll have to work through.
Yeah.
So there's like everything else, the
Yeah.
legislature's at the night, you know, of law, and then get some funding, and then, you know, hell breaks loose trying to figure out how to make it work, but they're getting there. And I'll end with the latest, the last thing I did, which was really, really fun. Years ago, when I was on the board of ed, Melissa Chesky so graciously asked if I would be the special friend for Aiden when he was going to, he was eighth grade, seventh grade with her mom, God bless her soul. And it was a great experience. And I mentioned that to my neighbor, and their first grader said, "Oh, would you come and be my special?" So I went I spent the day on Grandparents' Day, so Rick and a bunch of all the great people. It was huge. I mean, I've never seen the cafeteria packed, or the school was packed with a number of people that were there with families, and switching between kids if they had more than one child in the school. It was great, and had such a lot of fun. And I enjoy it. And I give a shout out to the Blakes who live at 51 Elizabeth Street. I know that address for some reason, but it was really nice. But that really made a lot of the month. There were some other things in the report. If you have any questions, let me know, but I'll cut it there.
Well, I do have, I know I keep asking you about this, but
You found it?
the easements, like,
Yeah, it is.
why is it so slow?
Well, there's one that, yeah, there's some that are looking for more and.
Money?
Well, one more money, we broke that down. They just haven't gotten me the paperwork back. I stopped in there last week again. The person wasn't there. They were gonna get right back to me with the paperwork. I've given them 2 copies of the paperwork to fill out. Supposedly they turned the other one in. We had no record of that. None of us had a record of that. But, and so every other day I'm knocking on doors and so on. The other one is just some expectations of what the reconstruction will be in front of their property when the sidewalk goes in. So we've done elevations. Rick worked hard with our engineers to relook at elevations coming off, you know, and to demonstrate that they're actually going to be better off with the curb. The elevation of the curb is going to be, and there won't be any water going back from this project on it. But they wanted some other things done, some other parking and other stuff that just didn't make sense. But they had gotten some counsel in on this, so send it back. So it's, I don't know what they're doing with that, but we sent back. I actually have the last note to send back to them, saying this is the final. This is a construction easement, not a permanent, so it's no payment. It's our property, the town's property, but it does affect theirs, and we're going to do everything we can to restore it and keep it up to the, you know, the level of their quality of the bluestone or whatever it is. But we're not going to go and redo their driveway or redo their front yard or whatever. Move trees, you know, part of that was in on it too. So, and that just seems to be one that's just one time. But yeah, yeah.
So is the plan to start in the spring?
Well, if we can get this done now, it all would go into final review. The state would take everything, final review, we execute all the easements and contracts and start working on developing the contract. So yeah, it should be, I would say, start next spring, next summer. I mean, really, realistically.
Yeah, it's gonna, if it rolls out, the bid will be out for bid for a couple of weeks at least, if not a month.
So,
Mhm.
right, and now we have executive session. So,
Did you want to do public comment before?
yeah, let's do public comment. Let me do that before.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Kind of goes on.
For security, for the record. Thanks, guys. 2 years and you guys working together, appreciate it. I know the town appreciates it. I certainly do. And it's exciting to have Lynn joining. And this is probably in part to the new board, what I'm getting at. I went and I did my first petition, and I'm sure everyone heard it on the rumor mill as I walked around for about a month. And unfortunately it failed because I had 55 signatures, but only 49 registered voters on it. So looking at it, I actually looked at this and said, you know, it's probably a boon, because I don't really want to force a meeting. Plus it kicks in 21 days. I'm going to hit holidays and then a new board. What I want to do is the petition was specifically to discuss the Swift House. The goal was not to make a decision on the Swift House. The goal was not to have arguments and fights over whose idea is better. It's really in a calm fashion way to be able to understand what the public is thinking. The genesis of all this was, I was on a board, sat where you guys were when, well, certainly when Bruce and Jeff Parkin were here, and we funded it, but we didn't really do much to it. And it sort of was one of those town buildings that just sort of sat there. And then I got on a subcommittee with Zan Charity and Marge McAvoy, Marge Smith, sorry. We worked hard to try to figure out and identify what we wanted to do with it, and how we wanted to improve it. The challenge that we faced is that there really was no good use that we could know at the time. And the costs and the improvements for started to become unwieldy. At which point, under Gene's board, we kicked it down to you guys. And I know you have looked at it hard. I believe you actually went and did architectural plans. I know, Glenn, you were spearheading that. But I think what's unfortunate is just gets kicked down, kicked down, kicked down. I own a bunch of real estate. I know what happens when real estate isn't attended to. I know that and I believe almost everybody knows that the building's not being used and cannot be used unless it's under 10 or something like that in terms of occupancy. So I think the goal here is to bring this to the bear for the new board, for them to really get a handle on it. And I'd like this to happen. I can go and get another petition and start that clock again. But I would recommend to the next board, and maybe even you guys pass it on, that they actually set a meeting for this prior to budgeting next year. And the reason I say prior to budgeting, because if indeed the consensus is, yes, we want to use it, then that board will have to figure out the timeline in which to use it, in which to get it up and running and how to fund it. And maybe the opportunity at that point would be to drop something in the capital plan or something in the budget or some sort of plan that you can talk to the Board of Finance about. But I think this building is just going to blow in the wind if the Board of Selectmen don't really take it under the wing. I'm not suggesting what to do with it. I really I'm conflicted because I think the building it's a nice building to have on our landscape. But I'm conflicted because there is really no use that I can see right now. And maybe, Lynn, it dovetails into what you were talking about with economic development. Maybe that economic development, rather than going out and buying something, uses something that we have. But you have to explain to the town why and what, and the town has to actually be behind it and feel that they have some skin in the game. I think, right, because it's a building that, what was the rough estimate?
2.5 million, approximately.
2.5 million. Yeah. And, that's a substantial amount of money for something that if we don't have a real planned use for it. The other thing I would recommend that the new board do is actually do an actual title search on the property. And the title search is important because there are multiple things going on there. You have not only the town building there, but you have the monuments there. You have what is dubbed as the ambulance barn, which I believe I don't know for sure, is on the property, but somehow the fire department has some sort of claim or use to it. So I would recommend that the new board get a title search, a full-blown title search on it, and also a real survey on it. That way you know what you are dealing with, and at which point then you can explain everything. Whether that barn comes into play, not comes into play, I have no idea. But that is
But what is, I mean, I'm gonna expose my ignorance, but why a full-blown title search?
because specifically there has been a question as to who owns the barn.
The ambulance barn.
The ambulance barn. The fire department claims it. I understand it. I have not done a title search myself. I haven't looked at to see where and how that got there. But if indeed it is the fire departments, or even if it isn't, and there's an expressed agreement, that has to come into play as to how you're going to use the property. So if you can clearly say, fire department, yes, you you did have some sort of use to it, but it is ours, and we are now saying for the benefit of economic development, this is what we're going to do. That's the answer, but I think that it's worth spending the money you spent. I don't know how much money.
Couldn't you also just, the board of selectmen could go to the Kent Volunteer Fire Department and just talk to them about it?
Yes,
And try and negotiate,
well,
the ambulance barn.
the board can. I'm a type of person who likes to have all the information. So if I have the information that says the survey and this deed says that it's mine, Lynn, and you have been using it, and that's wonderful and great, but we have other plans we're going to start thinking about here. What's your needs, and then try to negotiate that way. I think it's only fair to everybody, the fire department, because they don't know. And I don't think it's their responsibility to go out and get a title search or a survey because they don't own property, theoretically. So my recommendation is that this next board, take on some action to really have an interaction with the town. And also, get the full understanding of what we own. Therefore, then we can figure out what we want to do with it. That's it. Again, thanks for your
Thank you.
couple of years of working hard, and good luck, and we'll see you again.
Thank you. Anyone else with public comment? Oh, their hand up, I see.
Yeah, it's just mine, Marty. I just wanted to give a little report from the fire marshal and emergency management. I don't know if you guys already discussed it this evening because I've been listening, trying to, but I just figured I'd give you guys a little report. So I'm currently just working on tabulating the alarm issues that we have with the multiple alarms that have been received from certain locations, just to see where they are, if they were a nuisance or if they were false alarms. I've been working with the technology officer of the fire department to better get the information back to me, because that way we can actually have accurate information with the whole thing. I did actually have to give my first fine out for open burning issue that was I think a week and a half ago to an individual that was burning well after hours and did not seek permission to burn that day. And from the emergency management part of it, I think switching hats real quick, working on the LEOP, did a 2-hour class the other day with the Web EOC. So I'm actually pretty well versed with that now. So it's going to be good when an incident does happen. I'm actually thinking about this evening. What else? So, and then Everbridge again is starting to move forward, as I said before. And then all those people that had registered beforehand, I don't know if you guys saw that, but everybody that had registered beforehand is going to have to re-register. There was a I'm trying to think of the right word here, a snafu when they transition one thing over. So all those people that had registered beforehand are going to have to re-register again. But once the new portal comes out on the 17th, we'll do some social media presence and just trying to direct everybody over there for that. You guys have any questions or comments for me?
No. Thanks, Tim.
I would think it would make sense to send out an email just about Everbridge.
Yeah, I agree. And it's going to be once Everbridge is, once that new portal comes up, then I want to go ahead and do it. I don't want to do it beforehand. It's in the combination with the CT alert. They're kind of making it so you just have one login page and you can choose multiple municipalities to be part of, as opposed to currently right now, you have to go to each individual municipality in order to sign up for it. So this new avenue of signing up for the CT alert and the Everbridge is changing so that you can do one login name for multiple locations in multiple towns.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Appreciate that.
No problem, guys.
Any other comment? Okay, great. And we will move now to executive session. So I will make a motion to move in executive session, including
And invite
Joyce,
Rick.
and Eric Epstein and Lynn Harrington, you're really Lynn Worthington, Lynn Harrington and Rick Osborne into the meeting.
Yeah.
Second.
Just close the door for cleaning everyone else off then, or church. Um, thank you. We come out of executive session at, 9:10, excuse me, 9:10. 9:10, if there's no action, it was informational only. Thank you for everyone, who might still be there. We did public comment. I think we'll take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Okay, all in favor? All right, thank you, everyone. Thanks, yeah, appreciate it. Well, sort of the last one.